a sailor and rooms are like 50 cents. Today we're going to learn how to chuck or chunk or whatever it means. It does not mean throwing your ukulele out the window. It is a textural change in the strumming where you're providing a percussion sound. Everything on the ukulele can be broken down into really the smallest little steps. So in this tutorial, I'm going to break it down to explain what has to happen and all the mechanics that goes on how to chuck. And then I'm going to take you through some exercises. So when you're practicing it by yourself, well, actually, don't practice by yourself. Practice with me. I will take you through some skills and drills that you can incorporate into your practice. And then at the very end, I'll put it into a song, King of the Road, which, you know, when I do the hospital gigs, I get more people singing along with me that song than any other song that I do. People, King of the Road, as they're trucking through the hospital. So come join me. First, understand the big picture. What is a chuck? It is a mute. And what you're doing, it's always done on a down strum. And right immediately after you strum, you're going to take this part of your hand and drag it across the strings as well, which mutes them. So in essence, that is the big picture. But let's get down to the nitty gritty. In order for this fleshy part of your hand to get onto the strings, you're going to have to do an elevation change with your strumming hand. What do I mean? Let me show you. Unhook here. Okay. When I am strumming, I'm muting my strings really lightly. When I'm strumming, I have my index finger going across the strings. Notice how far away that fleshy part of my thumb, this part of my thumb or palm or whatever you want to call it, is away from the strings when I'm doing a normal strumming action. You're going to have to change the elevation of your hand, getting it down close and personal with those strings in order to chuck. Get your ukulele. The first thing we're going to do is lightly mute the strings. That means just gently touching them so that we're not getting a chord. Changing it into a percussion instrument. And actually, you know, that's what's going to be happening during the chuck, except for it's going to be happening with this hand. But breaking it down into tiny baby steps. First thing I want you to do is just do down strums and just observe. Kind of, you know, feel those strings against your index finger. Notice where your hand is resting and kind of get a sense of how far away that palm, this fleshy part of the base of your thumb, is away from your strings. I want you to take a look at that as well. So when I'm changing it, you can see how far away it is. So that's how far you're going to have to travel. And I want you to just kind of get that in your mind, that you're going to have to change the distance that your hand goes between the strings. So just feel it, kind of meditate on it. When you're ready, let's take the next step. Still meditating upon that, what your hand is doing. And by meditating, I mean focusing your attention on it. I want you to just take your hand flat and brush your strings instead of using your index finger. Making sure that you're making contact with this part of your hand, that fleshy part that we've been talking about. That goes first. That's what you're leading with. So when you see it like this, that's what's happening. Just feel it. Focus on it. That's probably a better word than meditate, right? Just focus on it. Relax. If you can do this, you can chuck. This next step is probably once we've gone through these mechanics, this is where you want to start. I've got a timestamp down below to help you. So I want you to strum and then do this. Strum and then lead with that fleshy part. Strum, lead with the fleshy part. Strum, lead. It's all downs. Just all we're working on is changing the elevation. And just practice that. Get nice and fluent, comfortable with it, focused on it, so you're feeling it. Let's practice alternating between the two. Do it with me, because I'll keep you with the timing. And I know that for beginners, that rhythmic fluency is so important, and it's why you should play in a group and play along with me, kind of like your exercise coach. We are going to be going down with the index finger for a strum, and then down with the palm. Let's go super slow. Strum, palm, or the thumb part, down, chuck, down, chuck, down, chuck, down, chuck, down, chuck, down, chuck, down, chuck. And you see how it feels kind of like you're throwing something away. That's why I like calling it a chuck rather than a chunk. But there are well-known players out there that call it the chunk. Don't ask me why. Let's do it again. 1, 2, here we go. Down, palm, down, chuck, down, chuck, down, chuck, down, chuck, down, chuck, down, chuck, down, chuck. So all you're doing here at this point is practicing from going where you have the space and then no space. Getting your hand used to changing elevation. So practice that over and over and over again. Here's a little pep talk. Learning to chuck is a process. And unless you are like super physically gifted, I'm not, hands off to you, because I remember when I started to learn how to chuck, because I thought, oh, that sounds so cool, I want to do it. And it took me hours and days and weeks. And it would be happening and sometimes it wouldn't. And eventually you get it. But it kept diligently working on it at a practice level. Not trying to put it with songs, just really focusing my attention on chucking. So, if you find that you're doing that, good, you're normal. Put it with a chord. Let's do a G chord, because King of the Road. My chord chart is in the key of G, and I have links to the chord chart down below. They're part of my Patreon community, which is growing really quickly, and we have a charitable goal that we are this close to getting. This is being filmed during the COVID-19 pandemic, and so thanks to all my patrons. Gosh, your feedback, oh, so wonderful. Thank you. Let me know if you want to learn how to chuck and if this is helping you, because that gives me the kind of feedback that I need instead of just talking to my camera. Okay, here we go. The G chord. You've been practicing your elevations. You've been practicing on your own. Now see if you can play a G chord in time with me. This is a goal to work on achieving. I don't expect you to get here on your first time watching this video. So we're going to go down, chuck, 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 down, down, chuck, down, 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 chuck, 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 and down. Let's talk a little bit about some of the things you may have noticed about my hand. Because I've been chucking for a while, I find that I can keep my hand in more of this rounded strumming position rather than throwing my hands out like that. Neither way is correct. You can do it either way. The reason I do it is because for me it's all about economy of motion. And so if I can keep my hand closer to what it is when strumming, then it means I have to do less motion. But if you find that throwing your fingers, chucking it down, that works for you, don't worry about it. I hope you have been practicing your chuck now for maybe even about a week in just doing the slow, focused work on it. Just taking your time, being patient. So that our next step is to change chords and chuck. In the interest of baby steps, let's just practice going between G and C. We'll do 2, down, chuck, and then C, chuck. So 2 patterns of down and chuck on each. Join me. Check your rhythmic fluency. 1, 2, here we go. G, C, C, G, G, C, C, G, G, C, C, G, just did that for a minute. Feel free to rewind this. I've got a timestamp down below. If you're feeling nice and comfortable with that G and C transition, first of all, you can do Hot Corn, Cold Corn, one of the songs from the New to Uke series. Go back and revisit it, and you've got a song that you can add a chuck with, and it sounds totally appropriate and levels up your playing. And let's get on and add that to a D7. We're going to go between G and D7. 1, 2, here we go. G, D7, D7, D, D, D7, D7, G, G, D7, D7, G, G, D7, D7, D, G, D7, and G, D7, D7, and G, D7, 7, and G. Okay, I kind of stopped mid-sentence, but anyway, that's got you just about a minute practicing that again. Did you find that your brain had to work harder? I know that mine did. So, yeah, you got more to think about. Well, now that you've got the G and D or D7 going, go back and revisit Jambalaya. And you can do that with a chuck. Yay! Let's practice from C to D7. Same pattern. A pattern is down, chuck. And we'll do 2 C's and 2 D7s because we have to do that chord change in King of the Road. 1, 2, here we go. Down, down, D7, C, C, D7, D7, C, C, D7, D7, C, C, D7, D7. D7, D7, C, C, D7, 7, C, C, D7, D7, C, D7, C, D7. Last time, C, D7, D7. Okay, I bet you know what's coming next. 3 chords. We're going to take our pattern of down, chuck, 2 on each of these chords, G, C, D7, and back to G. And then we're going to stop, kind of reset, and do it again. We'll do it numerous times because we're practicing. 1, 2, here we go. G, C, D7, D7, and G. Do you hear my computer talking to us in the background? 1, 2, 2, again. G, C, D7, D7, G. Oops, going on. Sorry. 1, 2, let's try again. G, C, D7, D7, G. 1, 2, do it again. G, D7, D7, back to G. Now, if you haven't learned the trick of slowing down stuff, I'll put a link down below as well. And if you need to slow this down, if I'm not going slowly enough for you, you can back off the speed and practice at a speed that works for you, because this is about your ukulele journey. I hope you're getting value out of this. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And I want to put a little teaser in there for you. If you're on certain devices, it'll show up here. If not, I'll put a link down below too. There's a continuation of this tutorial. Once you're getting smooth and feeling like, okay, the chuck is happening, well, you can combine it with different strums so that you can do something like, left a good job in the city, working for the man every night and day. That's what that strumming pattern looks like. Or put it with an island strum, so down. Lots of possibilities, and we're going to go over that in another tutorial. Remembering that learning new skills is a process and a journey. To make it more enjoyable for you to get to King of the Road, my first suggestion would be take a 2-chord song, like some of the great ones that I have in the New to Uke series, like Hot Corn, Cold Corn, as I mentioned before, and Jambalaya, and practicing those first. So you're going, hot corn, cold corn, bring along a demijohn. Hot corn, cold corn, like that. Practice those first. Take a 3-chord song like I'll Fly Away. One bright morning, when this life is over. Like that. Take a song that is a little easier first. But in the interest of propelling you towards your journey, work on towards King of the Road, I would suggest that you put in just down strums as you're practicing learning how to sing it. So you go, do the play along and just do down strums. Trailers for sale or rent, rooms to let 50 cents. Doing it just that way first. Then take just those 2 lines even and work on putting the chuck in. So, trailers for sale or rent, rooms to let 50 cents. Just give yourself small chunks, because, you know, it's just kind of like eating. You can't just swallow a sandwich all in one gulp. Take little bites at a time so that your practice time feels joyful and meditative, may I say, focused, and you keep the happiness and joy going in it so that you don't feel overwhelmed and frustrated and stressed. To that end, if you've got that all down and you're feeling like you'd like to join me in the play along, let's do that. Let's do that play along. We have 4 G's to get us in with our pattern. 1, 2, 1, 2, and here we go.